It's 4 a.m. and I'm very stressed out. I'm sitting at this exact table and I'm trying to learn the computer science exam textbook the day of the exam. I look back on my past weeks and I dedicated hours of revision to other subjects, and even this subject. I actually tried to perform well in the subject. It's not like I didn't try, but there was a mental blockade for this subject that I just did not understand. I looked at past paper questions, I looked at past exam questions, and none of it made sense. I couldn't fathom how someone could get such a high grade in computer science like other people in my school. At that moment at 4 a.m. when time was flying past and I was trying to cram for that computer science exam, a thought came in my brain wherein I thought that what would happen if I tried revising for it with a plan in mind? What would happen if someone actually laid out a framework for me to follow that would guarantee me success in this subject? And I can tell you that this video is exactly that. I personally had went from a grade 5 in the end of year 10 mocks, and it wasn't even a grade 5, it was a grade 4. I had to go up to the computer science teacher and pester her and annoy her, saying, oh no, come on, bro, come on, my whole family's from IT, come on, just give me this 1 mark, come on, just one mark. And she ended up giving me that 1 mark and then bumped me up to a grade 5 to getting, I think, the highest in my friend circle in computer science, and I think I got a grade 9 in one of the hardest papers in OCR, GCSE computer science. So I've been through the two extremes. I've got very low scores, I've got a grade 4. If you think that's a high score, you should aim higher. That's what I would say. If you're aiming for a grade 4 though, this video is not for you. This video is aimed for people who are aiming for that good grade 9 right at the top. And of course, I've achieved a grade 9 as well. So I know the two extremes very well. I know exactly how it is to experience that feeling of not knowing as much, knowing the content but not being able to perform in the exam. And I also know the feeling of having performed well in the exam. Because honestly, this year's paper for computer science was horrendous. It was I remember walking out of that exam and thinking, oh my god, that was such a hard exam, and I still got a 9. So this video is exactly how you do that. This will literally step by step in detail tell you exactly what you need to do to get a grade 9 in computer science. And without further ado, this is a framework that I've been trying to work on for every single subject in GCSE before I start the video. So go subscribe to my channel, and hopefully you'll see more full guides for every single subject coming along. Step number 1, identity. I'm not going to waste your time with this video. You probably think you can't achieve a grade 9 in GCSE. When I was working at this table right here, I was having these limiting beliefs wherein I thought oh yeah, if I revise this one part, and if I revise this one part for the GCSE exam, I could probably hustle a 7. That's the wrong mindset you need to hold. I guarantee you that every single person, or 90% of the people who consistently get a good grade in all their subjects, automatically think they're gonna get that good grade. If they had this really bad limiting belief where they were oh no, if a 4 is enough, a 5 is enough, they wouldn't get the good grade. They wouldn't be achieving so high if they thought of themselves as just a grade 5 student. This is one of my personal beefs with predicted grades, especially at GCSE, because honestly, your predicted grade, if it's less than a grade 8, you automatically think of yourself as a lower student. You automatically think of yourself as being someone who performs so bad in exams. But this is the wrong mindset you need to hold when you approach GCSEs or A-levels or any tests in that regard. You need to aim for the highest draw. You need to aim for the highest prize. You need to go and get that grade 9. Before, the prerequisite for this entire video is literally the cringy Instagram meme that's believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, before any of this, you won't get it. I guarantee you. If you don't believe that you can get the grade 9, you're not gonna get it. And this video is not for you. If you think that, if you have some stupid limiting belief that I had for English language, when I thought, oh, I can't get a grade 9 because I'm brown skinned and I'm from India and I can't speak English that well, so I can't get a grade 9, then this video is not for you. You need to believe. I don't care what you've got in the last test or last exam. You need to really believe that you can get a grade 9 in the subject. Before even I talk about revision of the subject, you need to almost brainwash yourself into thinking you can get good in this subject. There's been thousands and thousands of studies, thousands of books written. A good few are psycho-cybernetics and atomic habits. I'll link them down below. But there are thousands of studies, thousands of books that literally say that if you think of yourself highly, if you see yourself better, see yourself as someone who's more capable of something, you're gonna achieve your goal way more likely than someone who just thinks, oh, I can't get a grade 9, so I'm just gonna settle for a 4. Or like, if I revise really hard, I'll probably get a 5. No, aim for the highest grade, and who cares if you get a grade 8? It's still a win, right? If you aim for a grade 9 and get a grade 8, who cares? The exam's done. But aim for that grade 9. You need to brainwash yourself into getting that grade 9. So before I start any of the physical tips in this video, I want you to get out a piece of paper if you already haven't done so. And literally, I want you to put a 5-minute timer and literally repeat in your brain, I'm capable of grade 9. Literally visualize yourself on GCSE results day, getting your paper and seeing that grade 9 next to computer science or any subject in that matter. If you can just visualize yourself doing that and do that every so often, you're gonna start believing that you can get the grade 9. This isn't some weird wishy-washy stuff that like other people do on YouTube. This actually works. Believe in yourself. Step 2, work ethic. Your work ethic will determine your success in this subject, or in any subject in that regard. If you've seen my other previous full guides to subjects, I haven't really talked about this matter that much. And that's because this only occurred to me around, I think, 2 months ago when I was planning for these scripts and stuff. Your work ethic is directly correlated to how you perform in subjects. What do I mean by this? You're probably looking at the screen right now and telling me oh, just get onto the 6 best tips to get good at GCSE computer science so I can get a 9 and make my parents proud. No, your work ethic is genuinely the only thing you can do to get good in any subject. And this is a realization that I don't think anyone's really explicitly told me before in any setting. If you work like a dumbass, you will perform worse than someone who works like a serial entrepreneur. Think about this. If you get Elon Musk, who has no GCSE knowledge, he probably didn't even get good in computers. Actually, Elon Musk isn't a good example. If you get any top-level CEO, Jack Ma, any of these billionaires, and you put them in a room and you give them 10 hours to prepare for GCSE computer science, I guarantee you they will outperform anyone in your entire school. The reason being is not because they're really genetically modified or have genes for computer science. It's just because the work ethic, the amount of the work quality they produce is way better than anyone else. Now, you're probably looking at the screen saying well, what's the guy waffling on about? But basically, the idea of this section is to improve your work ethic. The reason you're probably scoring low in these subjects is because you're not revising as much. Let's be honest, you're not doing every single past paper, you're not enjoying the subject, you're not learning all of the content, and that's why you think you can't achieve the grade. But all of that, the root of all of that problem is because you work like someone who can't work. I want you to do 3 things when it comes to improving your work ethic. Number 1, whenever you sit down to work, I want you to go to an app called Pomo Focus. It's like a timer app, and I want you to put it to a maximum of 90 minutes. I don't want you to study for 6 hours. You're not gonna learn anything from studying 6 hours. I don't want you to put it for 25 minutes. I want you to put it for a minimum of 60 minutes and a maximum of 90 minutes. And I want you to press the button. That's step number 1. Press the timer button in the Pomodoro Focus app. The second step is not to leave the table until the timer runs out. So imagine if I'm studying, right? I'll put the timer, I'll start it, and you're not allowed to leave the table until the timer runs out. The third tip is to leave all social media, all websites, all your phone, chuck your phone away until the timer has run out. So 3 very, very simple steps. You put on the Pomodoro Focus app, you put on the timer for 90 minutes, you sit down, and then you chuck all distractions away. You're not allowed to eat food, you're not allowed to watch YouTube videos on the side just because you're revising, you're not allowed to call your friends. You're just meant to, for that 90-minute period or 60-minute period, sit down on your desk with no distractions on you, and now Like, you have two options, right? You're either going to be really, really bored, or you're going to do the work. I genuinely think that just implementing these 3 tips will honestly like dramatically change how you work. Because honestly, if you think about it, think about the last time you worked, right? You probably had like YouTube open, you probably were like listening to music, you probably were like talking to someone else, you randomly got up to like eat food and stuff. You had no like structure to your day, and this is not the best way to revise. This is not the best way to approach productivity. If you look at any top level like CEOs or entrepreneurs, I know this is like a side tangent to GCSEs, but all of them work in like blocks of deep work. They just literally sit down, look at work, put timer, finish work. That's literally their work schedule. They're not gonna do like some weird they're not gonna like reply to notifications on Teams, or they're not gonna like go to Google Classroom and reply to your teachers or something. You're just gonna focus on that one piece of work that you've pre-planned, and you're gonna stay there until you've finished it or the timer runs out. With this section done, I promise you that you're gonna, if you just follow these 3 rules, you'll beat most people in your school, 100%. Because if you think about it, how do most people work? They work with their mates, they work with their notifications off, they work with like something playing on the background. But this will literally dramatically decrease the amount of focus level you have in your like workspace. This is another side tangent, but in my school we have these like weekly assembly things, and in one of those weekly like assembly things they said that looking at one notification you may think that, oh, I'm just gonna look at this one like text message or something, but when you open it up, it literally takes 15 minutes for you to get back into a state of flow into the work. So every time you check your notifications, you're taking 15 minutes out of your productive time. Imagine that. So next time, for every time you work, every time you sit down to work, every time you're concentrated for a particular work task, remember these 3 rules. Set the timer, sit down and don't get up until the time is finished or you finish the work, and throw away all distractions. With that, I'm going to get into the actual computer science tips for this video. Now I've gone over all of like the wishy-washy things that you need to implement to get a grade 9 at computer science. Now I want to go into the first like major section of this video, which is learning content. When learning content in computer science, it's different to like English or maths. Learning content in computer science is more of like a science-based subject, hence the name computer science. What you need to do is either listen in class and retrieve the information in class, or you need to come home and go watch YouTube videos or go read either Collins books or CGP revision guides or revision books. I personally, in my GCSEs, when the exam was approaching, like my GCSEs, not the one where I scored a 5 in, but when my actual GCSEs came up, I would read wait, let me go find it. Okay, I couldn't find the actual computer science revision book, but I would read like a thin book like this from CGP, and it would have every like revision material you needed for the exam. It didn't like waffle a lot, but I think that a lot of textbooks do. They go over like random stuff that you don't need to know for the exam. And I personally think that when you read something from a revision guide, it's better that you read something and then don't understand it, and then you go look up that specific thing you don't understand, than going on like a big ass like textbook and reading every single page line by line, and then sort of understanding some things and sort of not understanding some things. And also, if you watch my like English literature video, you've probably seen that I'm not that good with like reading big passages of like writing. I can't concentrate for that long. But yeah, just go and learn the content with respect to the spec. If you've just learned I don't want you to memorize anything. I just want you to understand how stuff works. So for example, if you're learning the operating system unit, you have to go and learn exactly what each part does. You have to go learn like the advantages and disadvantages for every single part. Instead of memorizing that, you just understand how it works. You don't want to leave anything without understanding it. This becomes very important in A level, where you can't just like memorize random stuff without understanding it, because you don't know how to apply it in the exam. And this is the same for GCSE. So again, I use the revision guide to learn the content, but you can use whatever you want. I think there's a good YouTube channel called Craig and Dave. They like explain computer science concepts really well. If you like that method of learning content, go do that. Any way you want. Go talk to your teachers, go talk to your friends if that helps you understand. Literally, whatever method you want, use the specification from your exam board. read every bullet point and understand the subject content. Whenever you're going through a topic, go understand the topic first. This is the very, very first thing you need to understand. I know a lot of people resort to memorizing everything. That's not what you want to do. You just want to the first step is just to understand how everything works. Not in depth. I don't want you to go on Wikipedia and start searching up stuff. You can do that if you want to, but personally I couldn't be asked to do that. I would literally just go on the spec, go to my revision guide, read through the revision guide, and then if I didn't understand anything, I would just Google it, or you can just chat GPT it. So that's the first section done. If you've just gone ahead and learnt the content, you've already done 25% of what you need to do to get a grade 9 at GCSE. The second main step to getting a grade 9 at GCSE is memorizing content. Remember the order this is in as well. I want you to follow this very order when you're learning a new topic as well. It goes learning content, memorizing content, practicing content. Don't memorize first, then learn, then practice. I personally found that learning, memorization, practice is the best orders to do it in. So when you're memorizing content, there's no better way than this in my personal experience. The best way to do this is by going through something called online flashcards. Online flashcards, like the name suggests, are just flashcards online where you just repeatedly go over them whenever you get time to practice computer science, and then this will then get injected into your long-term memory. I personally use an app called Anki. I genuinely think that's the best app, no joke, out there for online flashcards. If you want to use something like Quizlet, go ahead, but I think personally Anki really helped me through my GCSEs. If you want to make paper flashcards like a noob, that you have to understand that there's a lot of flashcards you have to make. I know a lot of people have these crazy organization systems where they're when they're done with this flashcard, they go put it in this box to signify that they're sort of understanding this flashcard. And I know they have these crazy orders of ordering flashcards, but I didn't have a good organization system at that time. So I would literally just go to Anki, make my own flashcards by the spec and understand the content, and then just go over them to memorize them. If you want my free GCSE OCR computer science flashcards, they're in my GitHub, so go click on the link down below. I know that a lot of people have had technical issues with GitHub in the past. I've been trying to resolve them, but that's the only fair way that I think sending out all my flashcards to the internet is through GitHub. So if you want my GCSE OCR computer science flashcards, go click on the link down below and you should get them for free. Before I move on to the next section of this video, I also want to say, when you're memorizing, the best technique, or one of the best techniques I've found to memorize long pieces of information, if you have to memorize all of the Data Protection Act laws, or all of the laws for computer science, use acronyms and specifically make them memorable. Now you can interpret that in any way you want. You can make them as rude, but you have to make them memorable. You can make them rude, you can make them whatever you want. They don't have to be PG-13 when you make these acronyms, but all they have to be is memorable. So I can literally spout out to you 15 different acronyms that I remember from GCSE computer science that are probably not PG-13, but that's why they're memorable. So just literally make acronyms. So if you don't know what an acronym is, just every single letter, every single significant letter when you're memorizing a piece of information should be transformed into another word. Go look at how to use acronyms in another video. I can't be asked to explain it in this one, but yeah, I just found that tip really useful when I was learning content in computer science GCSE. Step number 4, practicing content and coding. Now you've learned content, you've memorized how to do it. Now comes mostly an easy part when it comes to computer science. When you've truly learned the content and you've truly memorized it, when it comes to actually answering questions in computer science GCSE, it's not that hard. All you need to do is 5 past papers for computer science. Do 5 past papers, but in every single one, you need to get 100%. So this is how I would advise you to get a grade 9 in computer science. What you need to do is go to your exam board website and print out a full past paper in that, paper 1 or paper 2. And you need to sit this paper in timed conditions. This is very important. You have to sit this paper in complete timed conditions. If you want to go the extra mile and take away 20 minutes of your exam time, so if it was 1 hour and 30 minutes, take away 15 minutes and try do it in 1 hour and 15 minutes. So go through the paper, go through every single question, answer it exactly how you would in an exam. Now when you do that, Now comes the most important part. Practicing the content isn't actually the most important part. The most important part is marking it. I want you to go and mark it very, very, very strictly, exactly what it says in the mark scheme. Now, after you've marked it, and you've seen what you've got wrong, what you need to do is get another document open called a mistakes document, what you call a mistakes document. Open this in like Google Docs, and everything you repeatedly got wrong. So for example, if you have a question about utility software or like whatever it's called, and the answer was perform housekeeping tasks, which it is, that's exactly what it says in the mark scheme. Go and in your mistakes document say, like for one of the bullet points, say, when answering questions on so-and-so, like utility software, remember to put performing housekeeping tasks. So like every time you make a mistake, you just take the mistake and put it in this mistake document, and then do that question again, of course. What you should have is, after you've done these 5 past papers, you should have a big ass mistake document of everything you got wrong in every single like paper. Now, all you need to do now is just read through that mistake document and familiarize yourself with that document. So literally ingrain that knowledge into your brain, because this is like an OP revision tactic that no one else is doing. Imagine you quantify, like literally take every single mistake you do. Like most people just do a question, they mark it wrong and they just like chuck it away. That's like the normie revision method. But we want to be superior student. We want to get the grade 9. So what we need to do is every single mistake we do, we want to put it in this document and then read over this document so we don't make the same mistakes again. I would recommend you make this for every single like science-based or information-based subject, because this is genuinely like an OP revision method that not a lot of people know of. So once you've tracked every single mistake in 5 past papers, just rinse and repeat up until your exam. Every time you make a mistake, go put it in the mistake document. There's going to be times that come along where you're just so used to not making that mistake, you can take stuff off of your mistake document. I wouldn't recommend that. Just like grey it off in your document so you know that you already know this piece of information, but just in case, keep it on there. So once you have this mistake document of every single mistake you have, that should be it. You should be getting a grade 9 in every single like paper 1 if you use this revision method. Just take the mistakes you do, put it in this document, read over the document, read over the answers to like that, read over exactly the past paper answers to those like prompts in your mistake document, and learn from that, and that should guarantee you the grade 9. The second subsection of this section is coding. Paper 2 in at least OCR is all coding. You need to be good at coding at like Python or Java or C. I don't know exactly what like languages they use, but one of the main languages to get good in paper 2. It's all well and good when all you have to do is just go revise the past papers and put it to your mistake document. But when you have to code, a lot of people struggle, and that's why I think that a lot of people can't get the highest grade, just because it limits your coding. Luckily, I have genuinely one of the easiest things you can do to improve your coding for GCSE computer science, and that is to literally go on a website called Code Wars. Code Wars is like this massive website where you have loads and loads of coding challenges, and I guarantee you, all you have to do is level up to 5Q. So you start off at 8Q. This is like the lowest level in coding. This website explains how you do everything. These questions are way harder than the actual exam, by the way. That's why I'm asking you to do it. All you have to do is just answer these questions in the language you choose of. And then once you've like answered these questions, if you rank up to 5Q, you'll get every single question in the programming paper right. I guarantee it. All you have to do is just go to this website, Code Wars. I think I'll link it down below if you want, and just rank up to the rank of 5Q. This is honestly better than some A-level computer science students. If you literally go up to the 5th level of this website when it comes to coding, you'll have all of the skills necessary to get good in the exam. I genuinely think that there's no better advice for coding. One thing I would recommend you do is really look into how to write to text files, how to read from text files. They really like to ask about that. Other than that, it's very, very simplistic when it comes to programming, like in GCSE computer science. I'm self-aware that I sound pretentious when it comes to like coding and stuff. I know if I was struggling at coding and I was looking at someone saying, "Oh yeah, it's quite easy," that I would be really, really angry. But genuinely, go to this website, go to Code Wars, do every single like Code War question, do it for like 10 minutes a day. And if you don't understand, go on like YouTube and search up how to fix the syntax or something. And then if you rank up to the 5th level, you'll probably be better than anyone in your school, and even like some of the NEEKs as well. You'll probably beat them with computer science as well. Do I sound offensive when I say like NEEKs? I'm not sure, but yeah, you'll probably be better than everyone in your school if you go to the 5th level in Code Wars. Other than that, I think that's everything you need to know to get a grade 9 at GCSE. If you do this video step by step, I honestly don't think that there's anything else left to say when it comes to getting a grade 9. I've covered identity, I've covered your mindset you need to have, I've covered exactly how you do this stuff, I've covered how you learn coding, and if you just follow this framework, I genuinely think this is the best way to get a grade 9. Now, this is not the end of the video, but this is everything you need to know. I'm gonna move to a section which I call the Unfiltered Section, where I tell you random tips and tricks that's not as structured as how do I say that word? The previous part of this video. It's just going to be all over the place, but it's hopefully going to be valuable for you, because I'm just going to like yap about random mistakes that people make that don't get them the grade 9. Without further ado, this brings me on to the unfiltered section of this video. Tip number 1, the paper is very, very easy. I walked into paper 2 thinking it would be easy, and I got proven wrong. When I walked out of paper 2 GCSE OCR computer science, I was honestly flabbergasted at how unstructured the paper was. I really didn't like the paper, but I can still tell you that it's easy. If you have this mindset of thinking every single computer science paper is easy, you're gonna find like nooks and crannies in every single question, which is gonna show you that it actually is. For example, in every single programming question, there's always this like framework they follow, regardless of like how weird the programming is, that they're gonna follow that. And if you just follow that structure, you're gonna get the grade 9. You're gonna get all the marks for that question as well. It's hard for me to explain in like a video format, but you're just gonna experience this from practicing like these computer science papers or going and practicing Code Wars when it comes to coding. And I think that a lot of people freak out when they see like hard coding questions, but if you really boil it down, there's only like maybe 4 things they ask about. They ask about how to write into like fields and stuff, write into, not fields, files. They ask how to iterate, they ask subroutines, and that's really it. They don't ask like weird stuff like recursive subroutines, or like how to write into records, or how to create like class diagrams, which they do. Sorry, my camera randomly cut out, but as I was saying, you're not going to get these like random A-level topics in your GCSE exam. You're not going to get asked some crazy recursive function you have to write in the exam. It's only going to be those like 3 main things. So if you get the basics and fundamentals right of Python, there's no way you're not going to get the highest grade in the programming paper. Tip number 2 is to answer the questions chronologically. Now, I was always told that whenever you're answering a paper, I wasn't told this specifically for computer science, but whenever you're answering a question paper, you're meant to go through the paper and then answer like the easiest questions first, and then go back and then answer it again. But I really didn't like this method. I always go through the paper, dedicate like 5 minutes to one question, and then I would like partially finish that question and then go on to the next question. So then that left me with like a full paper of like partially finished answers to questions that I should have got full marks on. So what I would recommend to you is just go through every question chronologically. Go through the paper chronologically. Don't do like some weird formulaic method of like jumping to the front and then jumping to the back and then going to the middle of the paper. Just go through it formulaically. I think that's how you say the word. And then when you spend more than, let's say if you spend 6 minutes or more on like a 5 marker, then move on and start the question. I know this is like simplified advice, but I don't think people made it explicit enough for me when I was doing my like exam that you're only meant to spend a certain amount of time on questions. I would just like randomly do questions in any order, and I didn't think that had like an effect on my work, but it really did. So that's just like the general summary of tip number 2. The last and final tip I want to tell you is to not really worry that much if you're at a low grade in computer science right now. For me, I was getting a 5 at the end of year 10, like 1 year before I have to write the exam, and I wanted a grade 9 because I wanted to stay at A-level and I wanted to be like pretty good at A-level. So when I got the grade 5, I was like proper like sad and stuff. But if you just put in the work, you're gonna get the results. I feel like someone should have told me this when I was writing my exam, that like yeah, if you put in the work, you will get results. It's not some like weird magical genetic thing of like only some people are allocated the grades. There's no like weird formula that the exam board gives. If you do the work, you will get the grades. Don't worry too much about like statistics when it comes to computer science. Just understand that if you do this work, if you follow this framework, you will get a 9. Like, assume that in your head, you're gonna get a 9. As long as you stick to this framework, as long as you stick to these tips, you will get the 9. As long as you put in the work, you will get the 9 in computer science. At my school, like especially, not a lot of people were getting like high grades in computer science. It was only like 1 or 2. But now I go to a better school. I now realize that a grade 9 is practically easy. Like, I don't want to like offend anyone, but a grade 9 in computer science is really, really easy if you really think about it. And it's really not that hard if you really apply your mind to it, because I've seen loads and loads of people in my school get grade 9s in computer science and like other subjects as well. So just don't worry if you're not where you are right now grade wise, because as long as you have a plan and then put in the work, it's going to work out for you. I think that's the end of this video. As long as you follow this video, you're going to get the results. I'm going to make a lot more GCSE full guides, so stay tuned. I hope you get a grade 9 and I'll see you in the next video.